Why women respect men who stay silent. 12 Rules of Stoic Confidence. Welcome to Ancient Stoic Secrets. Today, we are going to explore something most men secretly wonder about, but rarely find an honest answer to. What truly makes a woman admire a man? You've probably seen advice online telling you to use tricks, play games, or memorize clever lines. But let's be real, those things might spark a moment of attention, but they never last. The truth, as the Stoics knew, is much simpler and far more powerful. Attraction doesn't come from acting. It comes from becoming. It comes from building yourself into the kind of man whose presence carries quiet strength, calm confidence, and a sense of purpose that doesn't need to be explained. When you walk into a room, the question isn't whether people notice your words or your gestures, it's whether they feel the certainty you carry inside. That's what we're here to uncover, the hidden Stoic code of attraction. And it all begins with one simple but life-changing principle. See yourself as the prize. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean arrogance or believing you're above others. It means recognizing your own value deeply, unshakably. Too many men bend themselves out of shape for validation. They try to impress, to please, to fit an image of what they think others want. But every time you do that, you give away your power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are, "I am not enough until she says I am," then you'll always be chasing. But when your thoughts are, "I bring value simply by being who I am," by living with purpose, your whole energy shifts. Think about a luxury watch or a rare car. These things don't beg to be noticed. Their value is understood because of their rarity and the life around them. That's how you must carry yourself. Don't try to convince anyone that you're worth their attention. Live in such a way that your passions, your discipline, your self-respect make it obvious. The question isn't whether you enough it as whether others are willing to rise to your level. When you see yourself as the prize, you stop chasing approval and start attracting respect. And that, my friends, is where the Stoic path of attraction begins. 1. See yourself as the prize. Most men go through life thinking they have to win approval, impress others, and constantly prove they're good enough. Maybe you've felt it yourself, waiting for a text back, chasing compliments, or bending yourself into shapes just to be liked. But here's the truth the Stoics understood. The moment you chase, you've already lost power. Attraction, respect, and admiration begin when you stop seeking validation and start living like the prize. So what does it mean to be the prize? It doesn't mean arrogance or pretending you're better than everyone else. It's about deeply knowing your own value, carrying yourself with quiet certainty. Think of a luxury car or a rare painting. They don't need to beg for attention. They have value because of what they represent, because of the craftsmanship, the rarity, the presence they command. In the same way, when you live a life of purpose, discipline, and passion, people naturally want to be part of your world. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." If you see yourself as unworthy, you'll always chase. But if your thoughts are rooted in strength, discipline, and self-respect, you walk differently. You speak differently. Your presence changes the room without you even trying. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. Ask yourself this: am I living like a man who knows his worth, or am I waiting for others to decide it for me? That question alone can shift your entire mindset. When you start seeing your time, your energy, and your attention as valuable, you stop giving them away so cheaply. You stop running after people who don't respect you. And suddenly, the power dynamic flips. You become the one who is pursued. Living as the prize means building a life that excites you, a life filled with growth, passion, and independence. When you're already fulfilled, you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone to share the journey with. That's attractive because it's rare. And in a world where so many men are chasing approval, the man who values himself becomes unforgettable. 2. Build unshakable confidence. Think about this for a second. What if your peace didn't depend on anyone else's behavior? Confidence. Everyone talks about it, but few men truly understand where it comes from. Most confuse it with being loud, flashy, or trying to dominate every conversation. But real confidence, the kind that draws people in without effort, is quiet. It's steady. It's the calm in the storm. And this type of confidence isn't born overnight. It's built brick by brick, choice by choice, over years of discipline and self-respect. Think of the men you admire. They don't need to prove themselves with every word. They don't need to shout their worth. Their presence alone is enough. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a perfect example. Yes, he's strong and successful, but what makes people admire him is the balance. He's humble. He laughs easily, and he treats people with respect. That combination, strength mixed with humility, is magnetic. The Stoics would call this the balance between confidence and arrogance. One attracts, the other repels. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet in his writings he constantly reminded himself to stay grounded. To see himself as just a man, subject to the same human struggles as anyone else. That's what made him strong. Not pretending to be above others, but knowing his worth without needing to boast. So how do you build this kind of confidence in your own life? You start by keeping promises to yourself. If you say you'll wake up early, keep that promise. If you commit to working on your health, follow through. Each small act of discipline is a vote of confidence in who you are becoming. Over time, you stop relying on other people's approval, because you've proven to yourself that you can trust you. Ask yourself, do I walk into a room hoping people will like me, or knowing I'll be okay regardless? That shift changes everything. A man who knows his value doesn't chase, doesn't brag, doesn't bend himself to fit others' expectations. He simply is. And that quiet certainty, it's irresistible. Unshakable confidence is not a mask you wear. It's the foundation you stand on. Build it through discipline, protect it with humility, and carry it with calmness. Do this, and you'll notice something powerful. People won't just listen to your words, they'll feel your presence. And that presence is what sets you apart. 3. Live a passionate life. Here's something most people miss. Passion isn't optional. It's the fuel of a meaningful life. Think about it. A man without passion is like a fire without flame. You might see smoke, but there's no warmth, no light, nothing that draws people close. If you want to live in a way that others can't ignore, you need passion. Not the kind that comes from random hobbies or scrolling endlessly online, but something that makes you come alive. The ancient Stoics knew this. A man should devote himself to pursuits that sharpen his soul and fill his days with purpose. Picture this in your own life. At work, there are always two kinds of people. One drags themselves through meetings, counting the minutes until Friday. The other? They light up when they talk about the project they're leading or the idea they're fighting for. Which one do you think others gravitate toward? Passion is magnetic. It's the spark in your eyes when you speak about building something, chasing a goal, or even learning a skill that challenges you. That spark is courage made visible. The courage to live with direction. And here's the truth. Women notice this instantly. They're not searching for a man who needs rescuing. They're drawn to one who is already alive with energy and vision. If your life is rich with meaning, you're not asking someone to complete you, you're inviting them to join a journey that's already worth walking. That makes you not just attractive, but deeply compelling. Passion also creates depth. It gives you stories worth telling, perspectives that make conversations come alive. Whether it's fitness, travel, business, or a personal craft, every pursuit becomes fuel for connection. And the more you invest in it, the more confidence you build, because every small victory whispers to you, you're living aligned with what matters. So, ask yourself, When was the last time I did something that made me feel truly alive? If it feels too far back, maybe it's time to relight that fire. Because when you live passionately, you don't just catch attention, you inspire it. And that's when your life stops being routine and starts becoming a story worth following. 4. Don't try too hard. Here's a paradox most men overlook. The harder you try to win someone over, the faster your value drops. We think effort equals attraction, but in relationships, that's not always true. Trying too hard can make you look desperate, needy, and insecure. And nothing kills attraction faster than that. Stoicism teaches us to let things unfold naturally, to trust our own worth instead of forcing outcomes. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who constantly over-explains, overdoes, or overwhelms just to be liked? It doesn't feel authentic, does it? Women can sense the same thing when a man pushes too hard for approval. They feel the pressure, and pressure suffocates connection. Real attraction is effortless. It grows from authenticity, not from grand gestures or constant attention. Confidence has a quiet quality. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it. When you chase too much, you're telling her and yourself that her validation matters more than your self-respect, and that imbalance makes her pull away. But when you stay grounded, when you allow space for her to lean in, she values you more because she chooses you, not because you've pushed her into it. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. People desire what feels rare. If you're always available, always saying yes, always adjusting your world to fit hers, you become too easy to reach. And easy doesn't feel valuable. Think about it like this. Would you treasure gold if it were scattered on every sidewalk? Probably not. But because it's rare, it's sought after. The same applies to your time, your energy, your presence. Ask yourself, am I giving so much that she has no reason to invest back? Attraction thrives in balance. Show you care, but also maintain your independence. Protect your goals, your time, your passions. When she sees you have your own life, your own mission, it creates intrigue. She leans in because she wants to earn a place in that life, not because you've handed it over without boundaries. So don't force connection. Don't try to fill every silence or chase every response. Sometimes the strongest move is patience. The man who doesn't try too hard isn't cold or distant. He's secure. He knows his value and that calm assurance. That's what makes him truly irresistible. 5. Master emotional awareness. Think about this for a second. How many arguments in life could be avoided if you paused for just 5 seconds before speaking? One of the most underrated strengths a man can develop is the power of stillness. Too often, men confuse strength with shutting down, staying silent, or pretending nothing touches them. But that's not what Stoicism teaches. True strength isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering it, slowing down enough to respond with clarity instead of reacting with chaos. Picture this. You're in the middle of a heated family argument. Your partner is upset, voices are raised, and the natural urge is to fight back, to defend yourself. But instead, you pause. You take one deep breath. You let the silence hold for a moment before you answer. That small space, those few seconds of stillness, can save a marriage. Because instead of throwing fuel on the fire, you bring calm, and calm has power. This kind of presence doesn't mean you're detached. It means you're tuned in. When someone says, "I'm fine," but their body is tense and their voice cracks, the still man notices. He doesn't rush to fix or argue. He listens with his whole being. And often, that's all it takes to de-escalate tension and build trust. Stillness communicates. I see you, I hear you, and I won't be shaken. But here's the challenge. You can bring calm to others if you haven found it in yourself first. Many men project frustration or insecurity without realizing it, because they've never practiced sitting with their own emotions. The Stoics ask themselves daily, what disturbed me today? Was it the world, or was it my reaction? That kind of reflection is the foundation of emotional strength. So, ask yourself, when conflict comes, do I control my words, or do my words control me? Because the man who chooses stillness doesn't just win arguments, he earns respect. Women especially value this steadiness. It tells them, here is a man who won't crumble under pressure, who can carry both joy and pain with maturity. And that makes stillness not just a strength, but a superpower in love and in life. 6. Refuse to play games. Here's the truth most people miss. Silence isn't weakness, it's a weapon. If there's one thing that destroys trust faster than anything else, it's playing games. And yet, so many men fall into this trap. They think acting distant, sending mixed signals, or using little tricks will somehow make them more attractive. But the truth? Games might grab attention for a moment, but they always plant seeds of doubt. A doubt kills connection. The Stoics knew this well. A relationship built on manipulation can't stand because it's rooted in fear, not strength. Think about it. Have you ever been on the receiving end of games? Maybe someone pulled away just to see if you'd chase or pretended to be busy when you knew they weren't. How did it feel? Frustrating, confusing, exhausting. That same frustration is what you create when you play those tactics yourself. Real strength isn't about control, it's about honesty. A Stoic man doesn't hide behind strategies. He shows up as he is, direct and authentic. Trust isn't built overnight. It's built day after day, through consistency. When you're steady in your words and your actions, people know they can rely on you. But if one day you're attentive and the next you're cold without explanation, all you build is uncertainty. And uncertainty turns attraction into anxiety. Women, like anyone, can't relax in that environment. Here's another truth. Games reveal insecurity. They show you're afraid of being real, afraid of being rejected. But the paradox is this. Authenticity is what actually makes you powerful. When you are upfront about your intentions, when you respect her boundaries, when you choose honesty over tactics, you stand out in a world full of masks. Ask yourself, am I attracting her with who I truly am, or with a role I'm playing? Because if it's just a role, you'll eventually get tired of pretending. And when the mask slips, so will her trust. The Stoics lived by principle, not performance. They believed your character is your true wealth. And in relationships, character shines brighter than any game. So don't waste time on strategies that weaken you. Be real, be consistent. Be honest. You don't need to manipulate to be valued. In fact, it's the opposite. The man who refuses to play games becomes the one every woman respects, because he is authentic, and authenticity never goes out of style. 7. Radiate positive energy. There's something magnetic about people who carry light with them. You know the kind. When they walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. Suddenly, everyone feels lighter, conversations flow more easily, and even the silence feels warmer. That's the power of positive energy. It's not about being fake happy or forcing a smile when life gets tough. It's about choosing to bring presence, calm, and encouragement wherever you go. And believe me, that choice is more attractive than any perfect line you could say. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your inner world is constantly heavy with bitterness, complaints, and negativity, that's the color people will feel from you. But if you cultivate gratitude, calmness, and optimism, your presence becomes a gift to others. And women notice this more than you realize. They're not just listening to your words. They're feeling your energy. Think about your own life. Who do you enjoy being around? The friend who complains about everything, or the one who, even on a bad day, can find a moment of humor, a lesson, or something to be grateful for? That second friend lifts you up. And that's exactly what radiating positive energy does in relationships. it lifts instead of drains. Now, here's the key. Radiating positivity doesn't mean ignoring reality. Life has challenges, and pretending everything is perfect isn't strength. It's denial. What makes you magnetic is your ability to stay grounded in the storm, to handle stress without passing it on to others, to smile even when things are uncertain. That steadiness makes people feel safe. It makes them want to be close to you. Ask yourself, what energy do I bring when I walk into a room? Do I leave people feeling lighter or heavier? Because whether you realize it or not, your presence is contagious. And when you carry yourself with calm confidence and a hopeful spirit, you create an atmosphere where others, especially women, can relax, open up, and connect more deeply. So, choose your energy wisely. Be the man whose presence feels like sunlight after a long winter. The one whose laughter makes people forget their worries for a moment. That's not just attractive, that's unforgettable. 8. Listen with full presence. Here's the truth most people miss. The moment you depend on likes, comments, or applause to feel worthy, you've already given your power away. One of the deepest freedoms a man can cultivate is freedom from external validation. In today's world, everyone is chasing approval. From bosses, from friends, from strangers on social media. But the man who follows Stoic wisdom doesn't measure himself by hearts, shares, or applause. He measures himself by his own principles. Imagine this. You post a photo on social media. Your friend's post racks up hundreds of likes in minutes, while yours barely scrapes a handful. Most people feel a sting of insecurity. Am I not interesting enough? Am I falling behind? But the man who lives by inner values shrugs it off. Why? Because he knows his worth isn't in a glowing screen or the opinions of strangers. He doesn't let algorithms define his identity. The Stoics taught this clearly. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, stop worrying about how others judge you. What matters is not whether they approve, but whether you acted with virtue, honesty, and courage. That is real freedom. Not caring if the crowd cheers or stays silent. Think about it. How many people live their lives like actors on a stage, constantly adjusting their mask to win applause? They burn out trying to keep up an image. But the man who finds validation within himself is untouchable. He walks into a room without needing to impress. He speaks without fearing rejection. And ironically, that quiet confidence attracts more respect than begging for attention ever could. So ask yourself, do I live for likes or do I live for values? The answer reveals whether you're free or still a prisoner of opinions. Remember, external validation fades quickly, but self-respect lasts a lifetime. And when you master that, no number on a screen can shake your worth. 9. Stand firm in your boundaries. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you said no without guilt? There's something magnetic about a man who knows where he stands. Boundaries aren't about building walls or keeping people out. They're about knowing your values, your limits, and having the quiet strength to honor them. When a man stands firm in his boundaries, he sends a powerful message. I respect myself, and I won't lose myself just to please someone else. And here's the truth. Women feel that energy deeply. They may test it, they may push against it, but ultimately, they respect it. The Stoics lived by boundaries. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that you should stand tall and not be pulled like a puppet by every string. He meant that life, people, and even your own emotions will try to sway you, but you must return to your center. In relationships, this means you don't let attraction, fear of loss, or the need for approval make you compromise what matters most. Picture this. A woman asks you to cancel your commitments for her at the last minute. Do you fold instantly because you don't want to upset her? Or do you calmly say, I can't tonight, but I'd love to see you tomorrow? The second choice isn't rejection. It's self-respect. It shows that your time, your goals, your path still matter. And paradoxically, that makes her take you more seriously. The danger of weak boundaries is that you become invisible. You blend into the background, trying to mold yourself into whatever someone else wants. But the strength of firm boundaries is that you stand out. You are defined. And people, especially women, are drawn to definition. They may not always say it, but deep down, they trust a man who doesn't bend like a reed at every breeze. So let me ask you, where are your boundaries being crossed right now? Maybe it's at work, where you're saying yes too often. Maybe it's in love, where you're ignoring your needs for fear of losing her. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about protecting the space where your true self can thrive. And when you live that way, you don't just attract respect from others. You also start to respect yourself more deeply. 10. Letting go of control. One of the hardest lessons we face in life is realizing how little we truly control. We plan, we prepare, we worry. We try to hold everything together. But the truth is, much of what happens is far beyond our reach. A storm rolls in and ruins your vacation. A company downsizes and your job disappears overnight. Someone you love makes a choice you don't agree with. The instinct is to fight, to tighten your grip, to demand life bend to your will. But here's the paradox. The tighter you cling, the more restless and frustrated you become. Real strength is in loosening your grip and letting life flow. The Stoics taught this with incredible clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That single idea has saved countless people from despair. Because the moment you stop wasting energy on things you cannot change, you free up space to focus on what you can. Your thoughts, your choices, your character. That's where freedom begins. Think about it like holding sand in your palm. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. But if you relax your hand, the sand rests there peacefully. Life works the same way. Relationships, careers, even health, they are fragile. They can't always be forced. But when you approach them with steadiness instead of control, you find harmony. Here's a real example. Maybe you've had an argument with someone close, and you're desperate to make them see things your way. You push, you explain, you repeat yourself. But they only grow more defensive. Then you finally let go. You say, "I'll give you space." Suddenly, the pressure is gone. And often, that's when the breakthrough comes. So ask yourself, where are you trying to force life right now? Where are you exhausting yourself, trying to control outcomes that aren't yours to own? Could you instead choose acceptance, not as surrender, but as wisdom? Because letting go doesn't mean you've given up. It means you trust yourself to handle whatever happens next. And that trust is the foundation of unshakable peace. 11. The art of presence. Think about this for a second. The loudest man in the room is often the weakest. Real strength doesn't need a microphone. It radiates quietly. That's the essence of Stoic confidence. It's not about showing off, raising your voice, or wearing status symbols to prove your worth. It's about carrying yourself with a calm assurance that doesn't demand attention, yet earns it naturally. Picture this. You're in a meeting. One man walks in with an expensive suit, cracking jokes, trying to dominate every discussion. Another man sits quietly in the corner, wearing a simple shirt, listening more than he speaks. Then, when the time is right, he shares a single insight so sharp and clear that the whole room falls silent. Everyone remembers his words, not the noise that came before. That is the quiet confidence of a Stoic. The Stoics knew that true power doesn't scream. It whispers. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, wrote daily reminders to himself not to be carried away by vanity or applause. Imagine that, the most powerful man in the world, reminding himself to stay humble. His strength wasn't in commanding armies alone, but in mastering his own ego. In our modern world, this confidence shows up in simple ways. the man who doesn't need to post every achievement online to feel validated, the friend who doesn't interrupt but listens deeply, making you feel respected, the leader who admits when he doesn't know something instead of faking certainty. These are not flashy moves, but they command respect far more than bravado ever could. Here's the truth. People are drawn to those who don't need constant validation. Confidence that is quiet, steady, and rooted in values creates trust. And trust builds influence. So ask yourself, do you need to be seen as impressive, or do you choose to simply be impressive? That's the difference between chasing attention and embodying true strength. 12. The courage to let go. The greatest battles are not outside, but inside, and silence is how you win them. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning how to let go. We hold on to so much, people who no longer walk with us, mistakes that still burn in our memory, expectations that weigh like stones on our shoulders. We think clinging gives us control, but in reality, it keeps us stuck. The Stoics taught that freedom isn't about owning more. It's about releasing what no longer serves us. And if we're honest, most of us carry too much baggage. Not in our hands, but in our hearts. Think about it. How often do you replay that argument from years ago? How often do you scroll through someone's page, still comparing yourself to where they are now? Or maybe you restuck chasing a version of success that deep down doesn't even feel like yours anymore. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that life has seasons. Some chapters are meant to close, so new ones can begin. I remember talking with a friend who spent years in a job that drained him. He held on because of security, reputation, and fear of the unknown. But the day he finally walked away, he said something powerful. I thought I was losing everything, but really, I was reclaiming myself. That's the paradox of letting go. It feels like loss at first, but it's actually space for growth. The question is, what are you holding on to that's quietly holding you back? It's a relationship you've outgrown, an identity built on old dreams, a regret you keep feeding. What if you gave yourself permission to release it, to stop gripping so tightly, and instead trust the flow of life? The Stoics reminded us that nothing truly belongs to us, not even time. And once we accept that, we stop clutching and start living. Letting go is an act of courage. It's not passive. It's an active choice to free yourself from chains you no longer need. And on the other side of that release, you'll find lightness. You'll find peace. You'll find the strength to move forward unburdened. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you finally let go? So, as we reach the end of this journey, pause for a moment and look back at what we've uncovered together. These lessons aren't abstract ideas or dusty quotes from ancient scrolls. They reliving truths. They are reminders that strength isn't about being loud, but steady. That real freedom isn't about having more, but needing less. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back, breathe, and let life unfold without forcing it. Every story, every example we explored today has one thread in common: clarity. When you slow down, when you quiet the noise, when you let go of what weighs you down, you begin to see yourself more clearly. And that clarity is what gives you power. Power to decide differently. Power to love more deeply. Power to walk away when something no longer honors who you are. Ask yourself, which of these truths spoke to you the loudest today? Was it the courage to let go, the discipline of silence, or the reminder that inner peace is built, not found? Whatever it was, don't just let it be another thought passing by. Take it with you. Try it. Test it. Let it shape how you live tomorrow. That's how philosophy comes alive. Not in theory, but in practice. And remember, this isn't about becoming someone else. It's about peeling back the noise and becoming more of who you already are. Stronger, calmer, more grounded. That's the gift of these ancient lessons. They change you into something new. They reveal the strength you've had inside all along. If this message resonated with you, I want to invite you to join us on this path. Subscribe to Ancient Stoic Secrets, where every week we dive deeper into the wisdom that helps us live with more courage, more clarity, and more peace. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and let's keep walking this path together. Because the truth is, none of us are meant to do this alone. We grow stronger when we share the journey. So until next time, stay steady, stay present, and remember, the calmest voice in the room often carries the deepest power.